Okay.
And I also need to remember to save the chat at the end. Well, welcome. Who was on the call last month?
So
Mark, Olderico. So Anna, you were on the call last month.
I was in the call.
Yeah, I remember because you're interested. You were a teacher. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
First
Okay,
a
I like to-
teacher, then a principal in high school.
Oh, bless your heart for that one. Well, and so then the rest of you are new. So thank you all for coming. I'm Tammy, and I serve as a co-chair of the Plastic Solutions Task Force. And we used to do these every month. And last month we brought them back because I want to get people and build the machinery within plastics to build it and make it well oiled, because there's a lot of work to be done in the world on this project or this subject. And it's overwhelming. And ever since stepping into a co-chair position, I am just like inundated with stuff from everywhere in the globe. And while it's inspiring, it's also overwhelming. So I know there are people and talents out there who want to get involved. It's just a matter of figuring out who can do what and where you are, and getting to know the different parts and needs of the world. So, but I want to start with just some introductions. So that's my introduction. I live in California. So it's 7 o'clock here, and I got involved with plastics because I love the ocean and I want to do all I can to protect it, and also for my kids and my future grandchild who's coming in 8 weeks. So I'm very excited that that's my motivating factor. So let's start with that, and let me start. Olderico, I'm going to just go around who's on my screen here. So Olderico is sick, so we'll see how he can talk and manage.
Okay, thank you, Tammy. I am Olderico Caviglia, Rotary Eco Club Milano, District 2041, Italy. I am also chief of Italian chapter, ESRAG Italian chapter, and actually I support Tammy in technical area of ESRAG plastics. I brought in the chat the two websites about ESRAG and ESRAG plastics, so you can join us. You can we can stay in touch, and we can start a discussion about plastics and about any kind of project idea. This is a open group where we can discuss about everything. So we next can start. The floor is for another people now. Thank you.
Andrea, how about you? And then we'll go to Ivan.
Sure. So I'm Andrea LaCroix, and I've been an environmentalist for a very, very long time. And a little over a year ago, I took a class from Beyond Plastics, and I'm now taking Plastics 201. I also became a speaker for Beyond Plastics, and I've been going around to different Rotary groups giving my presentation. And I'd like to do that. You know, some people have asked me to do it on the district-wide level. So I want to be as involved as possible. My true belief is that the only way to solve this crisis is from, policy. And I'm not actively involved in policy because I'm too busy in my daily life. But I am taking it from the education end of it, and just making people aware. So I have lots of people who have made small changes in their life because they think of me all the time. So. Thanks.
I am so excited about that because I talked with somebody yesterday, and I don't see Barbara or Francis on here yet, but they are also doing presentations. I am doing presentations. I would love to put our heads together and see what information we are putting out there to world, because the more it's tight, the better it is. And I feel like with presentations, I finish it 1 week, and 2 weeks later, if I'm going to do another one, I have more information to add, so I have to take some out, and then I read another article about health, and then I want to add that in because I think the health is what's really striking to people.
And mine focuses a lot on health and also social justice.
Okay, we're all talking
Tammy,
the same language.
yeah, we can absolutely. I don't change mine. I make little tweaks to mine here and there, but I keep it pretty high level. I don't try to get in the weeds, but I would love, I love presenting. I love presenting more in person than I do on Zoom, but I would love to share my presentation with you and everybody on this call. And I would love to see yours as well. So I'm all for that.
Yeah, well, right off the bat, I'm thinking that the three people who I know are presenting could put our heads together and come up with a real consolidated
Absolutely.
kind of presentation and make it here so other people can get that prototype. But yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. Wonderful. Ivan.
I'm Ivan Servato. I'm from Milano Metropolis. I'm from Italy, same district of Roderico, so 2041. I'm responsible in my club about service, so I'm a service director. And in my spare time, I'm a beekeeper, so I love bees and all the environment related to the bee. I use bee as a bioindicator. So we are, if there is some, issue on the environment, the bee bring into the honey. So we are able to analyze it and discover chemical issue around the bee. And this is what I do. In my daily life, I'm a speaker. I'm working for IT company, Veritas, that is taking care about high availability, disaster recovery, cybersecurity. So it's a different topic, but in my second life, I love presenting, teach to the young generation, because I totally agree with you. Everything starts from education. Also, the plastic is a beautiful material, but is used in a wrong way is a disaster.
Yes.
So this is the point, is how to use the raw material. This is, and at this point, honestly, we don't have any other way to impose policy and education. Only with both we can achieve the goal. Otherwise, something is missing. Unluckily, not in all on the part of the world, we are able to try to impose something. We are very lucky. We are part of the 20% in the world that we are under democracy. The rest is the majority, there is no democracy. So the people cannot speak with us around the globe. And this is, we need to keep this very in mind. Thank you.
That's great. Another speaker, but that's very interesting about pollutants going into the hives. I think that'd be interesting to hear about that because pollinators are so important. Cool.
Yeah.
Tony, are you there?
I am. So a big part of the reason I'm here is because of Alderico. So Alderico and I met back in 2015 when Alderico welcomed me to Expo Milano. So I was the inaugural president for a Rotary club called Gordeno Breakfast, which is based just outside Bristol in the United Kingdom. And my particular interest is in terms of trying to get more businesses and corporates involved in Rotary, and very interested in Andrea's point about the need to sort of get the message to our policymakers. I was reading an article in a newspaper yesterday about how big oil has done as good a job as big tobacco in terms of sort of bamboozling people into, you know, thinking they're doing something about
Tony,
plastic.
that was my class last night. We talked about the tobacco industry and
Oh, really?
everything they did and exactly how the,
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
that. Interesting.
Yeah, because what they've done is sort of made it sort of emphasize the sort of recycling side of things, which makes people think something's happening about it. But the absolute answer is to just reduce our use of plastic, full stop, because that's the only way things are going to get better.
Mhm.
Yeah, and where I think we're both on the same page, and since Andrea has just done the Beyond Plastics thing, the message there is that plastic industry is like the new coal and plastic is the new tobacco. And that's a message we need to get out by all means. Well, thank you. Thank you, Tony. Mark.
My name is Mark Hoppin. I'm from Gig Harbor, Washington, the Gig Harbor Rotary Club of about 140 members. So far in our club, we've got about 4 environmentalists. 3 of us attend the projects meetings, and 1 is the president. I've also got the District 5020, an international district that includes Vancouver Island and British Columbia, as well as Western Washington, to form a district level committee. That just recently happened. That took a year. Now I'm going to try to get all clubs to form environmental committees. I also used to be a city manager. For the first 17 years of my career, I was a teacher, a coach, basketball coach, which is why I got the hat on. It's the basketball season. And I did that for 17 years. And then for the next 30 years, I was a city manager or working in a municipality. And for a little while, not only did I work on streams and stuff, but I had jobs. I had one job with the King County Council, which is the largest county in our state, that involved fish, farms, and flood, and trying to interrelate those 3 things. And I thought that was an interesting thing, and I was glad I only did it for a year because it was a nightmare. But I've tried at the county level to get our county council person to talk to the solid waste management people about integrating some of the peripheral special pickups of plastics. We have a firm called Ridwell that's gone on the West Coast quite a bit, and even into the Midwest, that started in Seattle, Washington, that picks up single-use plastics and in ways that the waste management people can't and or won't. And I've tried hard to get them to integrate this service into their overall spectrum of services so that more people have access to it. And so far, I've failed miserably.
There's interesting comments in there to me. Two things. One of the reasons why I actually just recently joined Rotary, and one of the reasons why is because I wanted to have that force multiplier thing where you get some people to change and the clubs just keep, falling, for lack of a better word, falling in line to make these changes. And that's a lot of change. So we've just got to keep working up to getting more eco clubs within the Rotary clubs, and then getting at the district level, because, Andrea and I are both speakers, but you can't go out and be talking to every Rotary club around the world. So how do we get that message out quicker? Still working on that one. The other thing is that there are plastic, Ridwell is collecting this plastic that can't be used, and the more I know about other ones, Isaac, I see, is on the call, things like precious plastics or mad plastics that are, people out there are collecting this stuff and putting it to use. Why are we not doing that more here in the United States? Why is our waste management basically the only funnel for this plastic? And they only want certain amounts that have a market for them. And why is there not a greater emphasis on other markets? So just something we need to circle back to and maybe just discuss.
But Tammy, the problem, or I mean, it's a good bad problem, right? Because anything that you do with plastics post, when it's after it's made, is toxic. Everything you do with plastic is toxic. So you're taking the more plastic is used and you reuse it into something, you're putting more toxins in that already toxic plastic. So like what I think it was Ivan who said, what we need to do is just stop.
And that's absolutely correct.
I 100% agree. There's so much plastic out there right
It's a
now
conundrum, right?
that it's sort of
Yeah.
like this, working and massaging here so we can work over here. And in the meantime, we'll work towards the ultimate goal of completely reducing this stuff. So we don't have, that's the problem. You're almost like hoping these programs and these businesses succeed, yet at the same time, I hope they eventually go out of business. But I don't think we're ever going to get rid of plastic, but we can certainly be getting rid of the single-use plastics for sure. And things, the pallet wraps and all that stuff that is very recyclable or reusable. But yes, I agree. One of the things that I know people are doing is making plastic building stuff for, schools and in lower income countries. And all I keep thinking is like, well, aren't we just putting toxins in the walls of those schools? At the same time, these toxins are in their water and all around their neighborhoods.
True.
So we're trading, A for B kind of thing, but hopefully over time, we can reduce it all. So, yeah. Anna, excuse me. Anna, would you like to introduce yourself?
As I said the other time, I belong to the Rotary, Milano Nord-Ovest, in the same district of Ivan and Olderico, and I am a follower of Olderico and Franz Müller. So we try to include, involve more and more clubs in this field of be plastic free. In 4 weeks, if I am not wrong, Olderico and Franz will come to our club. We'll have via Zoom, so even and other friends can join us. We put on Gero the information. We'll have a meeting just to talk about plastic free and I think we must involve more and more Rotarian. Having two big person like Olderico and Franz in our district, I think we must take advantage of this. So if Ivan and the other club of our district will join us, I think we'll be very, very strong in bringing a new project, an important project for Milan. And Milan is a big town where plastic is still too much used and thrown on the street and everywhere. So I think I just, this is the reason I'm enjoying this ESRAG and these nice people that we are talking together. Thank you.
There's a lot of plastic out there on streets.
Yes.
Yeah, deal with that. Thank you. Richard. You're muted.
Okay, I'm unmuted. You'll remember me because I'll ask that every time. My name is, I go by Rick Morrissey, and I'm a member of the Bethlehem Morning Star Rotary Club, which is in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So right now I'm representing all of Pennsylvania. I apologize, I'm going to have to leave, but before this end of this meeting, but I do want to come back, and it's a pleasure to meet you all and realize that there's a lot of people that in the world, 1.4 million Rotarians we have, that we could impact. I chair the green team of our club. We just got started, but our focus is in plastics. We first tried to eliminate as much waste and plastic in particular at our morning meetings. Now we're working on our district conferences and every event that Rotary has. We should be mindful of not using plastics. There was a presentation this morning, and I won't go into it, but it was by Lehigh University students. They have a creative inquiry group. So they're students in political science, environmental science, engineering, and they're studying how to recycle sachet. Sachet plastic is what Twix and other candy bars and things has aluminum in it. So they're doing a study and a paper on how that can be addressed. But the one thing I asked them, I said a long time ago, I just was spitballing it at a meeting and said, you know, the more I hear about plastics, I don't know why it's not considered hazardous material. And I asked them, all of your studies on plastic, do you consider it a hazardous material? And they said, well, since we're ingesting a credit card worth of microplastics every week into our bodies and into our lungs, yes, they agreed that it's a hazardous material. So I think what we have to pose to everyone else is to try to plant that seed that this is a hazardous material and we need to clean it up. We need to repurpose what we've already made, but we need to stop it. And I think we're all like-minded people. And I will commit myself to attending these meetings and setting aside the time. I just have to leave about 10 of 11 today. So appreciate the time to get to know you all.
I think that's fascinating. I'm glad you are here. Thank you. You know, I'm hearing the big theme of how do we get the outreach within Rotary, and we have to, maybe Olderico, you can comment on this, but we have to get Rotary to step up or how do we reach all the different Rotary clubs, because it's been hard here even to get like here I live in California. I mean, it's hard to even get to the district level where we can present on a larger stage. So I know that some people are going to be promoting it in Singapore, which will be great. But we need to get out and have these presentations, because it's the presentations, especially when they're in person, that make people go, they're just mouths drop. Even here in California, the ones I've done, people are like, oh my gosh, I didn't know. They know they're supposed to and they want to, but when you talk about health, everyone is shocked. And I agree with that hazardous material thing, but how in the world do you get that designation to where we can really push it? Be nice.
Yeah, I agree, Tammy. This is a typical Rotarian problem because the communication and it's always difficult to exchange this kind of information. But we create a website, ESRAC Plastics. I brought the link in the chat, and this website and also our social media are a place where we can start a discussion, where we can talk about this kind of activity about plastics. We have the opportunity to give space to people to write article about the topics. So there is a blog. We can grow with this blog and create a discussion under every article and after every post. So I think that we have some tools that can help us to create the right communication, and especially to involve clubs and district is not easy, because I saw that in Italy, as a chief of Italian ESRAC chapter, is not easy, because it's difficult to get space in the district event, to get space in the club. But anyway, we need to continue to to talk about this kind of problem and to expand our audience using the tools that we have in our possibility. I will be in Singapore in the International Congress, so I also will spread this kind of message also in the ESRA booths and in the other booths and also with the network of Rotarian that I have. But we need that everybody make an effort to spread this kind of information.
Thank you. Bobby.
It's morning in my time. I'm with the Rotary Club of Whistler Millennium in Whistler, British Columbia. And you're achieving one of your goals this morning because I am here to listen and I will be reporting back to my club. And what I have already heard has been giving me some energy to keep moving on this. I was feeling a bit overwhelmed and I'm now feeling more energized. So thank you all.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for saying that, because I have to tell you, I feel overwhelmed, and just being here helps me stay motivated and relaxed, knowing there's like-minded people. There's a lot of like-minded people out there, but you don't really know it sometimes when you're on your little island. So thank you for coming. Cindy.
Great. Hi, everybody. I'm Cindy Ward. I'm here in Athens, Georgia. I'm a delegate from a Rotary member who knows I hate plastic. So she forwarded the link to me so I could be here and see what y'all were up to. So I have no qualifications. The only thing that I can say that I've done is we organized our first marathon in Athens, and we managed to make it almost water bottle free. Almost. We almost did it. Anyway, big hate of mine. So I don't belong to our local Rotary, but again, a very dear friend of mine does. And she is very trying to organize a lot of sustainability initiatives. So I'm sort of here to listen and hopefully get involved, because it's something I think is really, really important. My background is I'm a veterinarian. I recently retired from the University of Georgia, and I work as a consultant for pharmaceutical companies, and I lecture on drugs. So that's what else I do. So I'm really here to listen. So thanks for everybody for sharing your thoughts.
Careful, or we're going to make you a presenter if you like to talks. A veterinarian, can we please address all the plastic in veterinary food? I mean, it's just, if you have animals, every time I order from Chewy.com and it comes, I just have to shake my head and go, okay, this huge bag of dog food has to go in the garbage. It kills me. But,
well,
I don't know if
I will tell you, you can recycle the bags. So like all the major food companies will allow you to recycle the bags. So you can do that if they're like, Hills and Purina and Royal Canin, they all have bag recycling programs. Now, whether they really recycle them or not, I don't know, but they certainly have that. The other problem that you face, because I've talked to food companies about this with animal foods, and I'll just say this because you brought it up, is that they have a high fat content. And so when you're bagging up those products or canning them, you have to put them in plastics to get them safely out if you're looking for long-term storage like these people are. So I'll just throw that out there. So it's a harder battle to win than water bottles at a marathon.
That's very interesting. Well, the high fat content, that's interesting. But if we can recycle this stuff, would you like a homework assignment? First of all, what are qualifications, except there are a lot of very smart people who hate plastic and want to chip in. So you're qualified. And you're a veterinarian, that makes you one of those people, very smart and motivated. But yeah, that is an area that, just getting that out to people to give them one more thing they can think of, just like with Ridwell and other ones, that there are these avenues to recycle this stuff, that would be great if you could tell people how they could, if you email me, if you find any information on that and let me know, that would be
Sure.
great.
Absolutely.
Yay, one volunteer in. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to move on to Isaac. And Isaac, thank you for being here. He can offer another perspective because we are volunteering, but he's, Isaac, why don't you tell your story? Uh-oh, are you frozen?
Yes,
you there,
thank you,
Isaac?
Tammy. Thank you, Tammy. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Yeah, hello, everyone. Hello, Alderico on the call. It's good meeting you guys. So I'm called Isaac Ashige. I am from Uganda, Nachivale Refugee Settlement. And talking about plastic, yes, of course, we've of now been working on a plastic recycling project, both with the HRAG, particularly Tammy. Tammy, thank you for the good work already involved inside the initiative. So talking about plastic, we identified that mostly in our communities, living in the marginalized communities, plastic is the root cause to many problems that we are currently facing. And the current global warming, particularly in East Africa, talking about South Sudan and Uganda, where it has reached 45 degrees Celsius. So it's really a big problem, a big issue here. And we went through the development of an innovative solution to address this particular root cause, the outbreak, the plastic waste in our communities. We end up having a project of recycling this plastic waste. Though I had Andrea talking about stopping using plastic. Yes, this is the real and a good solution, even though we can't achieve it right now. It would be good for us to start doing the awareness, promoting the awareness of the harms caused by plastic waste, I mean, mostly for us here in the refugee settlement and so on and forth, which we earlier started this year talking about the disadvantages of plastics, the malicious of plastics, what are plastic waste causing in our communities. People are now somehow aware, some of them trying to make brooms, some of them trying to recycle this into tiles and so on and forth. So this is something that we need to put in much focus on and emphasize, mostly for the marginalized communities like the one I'm living in right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac. So Isaac is in the Nakuru Valley refugee settlement in Uganda. There's about 180,000 people there. And we've been communicating a lot of the food there. You think, well, where's their plastic coming from? And their plastic is being brought in because the World Health Organization delivers food to them. And it comes in all this plastic and they have nothing or nowhere to deal with it. So it is a large problem. And that's the thing when we think about consumption end of plastic and getting people to stop using water bottles and that kind of stuff. But there's a food insecurity is very strong in the settlements. So then this stuff comes in and they have no way to deal with it. So we're trying to come up. So I'm going to segue here to the purpose of plastic solutions. Yes, it's to educate, and that's a part of the equation. But as Rotarians, what this group particularly serves for is to develop projects and to identify how we can actually make a difference in people's lives. So yes, we've been talking about how we need to come at this from all different angles, but when you have folks like Isaac, who is in a situation where they need to make plastic products out of this, they can't just take it and put it in a landfill or they're going to burn it. And that's unhealthy as well. So they are currently, correct me if I'm wrong, Isaac, they are collecting the plastic and literally burning it down or melting it down in pots. So you can only imagine the toxicity of that process, but then they are making it into sandals and trying to make bricks for buildings, whatever. So they're trying to do this. We'd like to help them maybe do it in a less toxic fashion with machinery, which is, you know, these are all things we're looking at doing. And then we'll go to at the district level, hopefully for some grants to help them with this process. But in that, you have to look at the fact that they need electricity. And last month, Isaac went outside with his computer and showed us where they are in Naku Valley, and it's far away. They need so solar is going to need to be a part of this, and running water is not something they have. So in other words, there's multiple factors that we need to pull into any kind of project for them. But this is what people in foreign countries are dealing with. And that's part of the intrigue that I've been having as a co-chair. Is the other project I'm working on is in Bangladesh, where textile waste is rampant, and it's a huge impact in that beautiful country. And so that's another big project. I was writing that one up last night till 10 o'clock, and I went, I have to go to bed because I have to be up in the morning. But just to let you know that beyond what we're talking about, legislation, policy, all that needs to come into play, but there is an immediate level need to do something with this plastic. So thank you, Isaac. Hopefully you're learning as we go along. And last time, did you ever connect with Felix in Kenya, who are in Kampala from last time?
Not yet, but I'm planning to test him today and
Yeah.
see how we plan a chat with him.
That would be awesome. And part of these group meetings is also to connect people. So we've already connected some speakers here, but also a man by the name of Felix, who's very involved in Africa, was on the call last time. And I know you and Ahmed in Bangladesh are both trying to get in touch with Felix and see how we can coordinate some things. So that would be great. All right, well, welcome everyone. I think in the future, I'm going to have some more formal speakers come in. I've already talked with Steve Bender in Newport Beach, who is doing a ton of ocean projects, and have him come in and present on those. I also, you know, Andrea, one of the things that I would like to do is get a regular programs or announcements out to coordinate with Beyond Plastic, because I think their programs are so good, but that can certainly fill our need to have educational programs out there. Beyond Plastics is just extraordinary in what the people that they're getting in. And I know talk about Cancer Alley in Louisiana on the Mississippi River, and all those things are now part of my presentation that I'm making. And that people here in the United States need to know that this is right here in our own little glorious country that's supposed to be protecting us. And it's not protecting these people because of the petrochemical impact. So if y'all haven't looked into Beyond Plastic, their educational programs are quite amazing. But I want to regularly support them. So in building a team or strengthening our team, I'm happy we have somebody formally doing social media right now. And Lori Cloutier, who was the prior chair of plastics, she is going to research innovations, because I think that amongst all this, we need to know what can also be put into our minds, that there are very smart people working on this stuff, and hopefully they'll come up with some things. So innovations. I'm actually hoping there will be somebody, and now we've got Cindy down there who can look into veterinarian issues. That's actually quite huge when you think about how much of that stuff is going out there. So that would be wonderful. And what I really would like to have is somebody who will deal with education, because last time there was a big call, we talked just like today on education, that there are great programs all around everywhere of people who've already done this stuff, the plastic culture, plastic-free lunch program in the East Coast. And then there was something else that just came out on the Africa West WhatsApp group was good, and a game for children. If we could have somebody does the funnel point to put this information out, what I'd like to do is, since somebody says, I want to start a training program, I can say, here's a whole library for you, and this stuff is free for you to translate into your own language, because it's really the youth where we can affect change. So I'm open to volunteers who would like to be that funnel point. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but if you have teaching background or would like to just, I don't know about you, but I hate when I say yes to a project and it ends up being much more huge than I thought it would be. These are smaller projects that if you have a little bit of time, somebody might be able to take on. If there's no one here, then I'll keep putting that out there for.
Tammy, I would love to support. I'm unfortunately a pretty busy realtor, and like I'm the district chair for the environmental committee where I am. And a few months ago, I was like writing e-bulletins and active, and I'm going into my busy season. So I can be I can be on the emails and a support, but I cannot be the lead.
Cool. And I totally, believe me, if somebody, I'm actually, a few years ago when I turned 60 was my year of saying yes, tried to say yes to everything. Now I'm actually like, I'm gonna start to say no. That's my new mantra, is learn to say no. So no problem from that. I think just putting it out to the group that if you come across somebody who says, how can I help? You can say, I know they're looking for somebody who would just organize climate, plastic information. I could point them in all different directions. I just need a funnel point. So yeah, so just keep that in mind. Does anyone have anything in particular they hope to gain from these conversations on a monthly basis? Feel free to jump in.
So I feel like everybody on this call is sort of super aligned and a little bit of a different perspective from everybody. There's no such thing as a worldwide project that we could all do. Isaac's issue is a really interesting one. And I feel like, Isaac, like anyone who's in a disaster or refugee environment, and you don't have access to certain things, I feel like that's where single-use plastics should be used, and they shouldn't be used in everyday life when we have access to reusables. So, but we also need to realize that the oil and chemical companies have put this problem on us, and we are all trying to solve it individually, but it really needs to come from the top and from our political leaders. And that is the only way we're going to solve the problem in the future. So education for this, our individuals to make us feel good is great. And to Beyond Plastics has a really great grassroots training. Because I really do think writing letters, getting in front of your politicians and making those changes, that's the only way that we're going to get. And actually the EPA is finally looking at vinyl chloride and putting that on their list of toxins. So we are making small strides and getting things done.
Mark, you had a comment? You raised your hand? You're on mute.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I had to physically unmute instead of pressing my space bar for some reason. There is a bill, and I forget the name of it, the federal bill to control single-use plastics. The only problem is it's all liberal, it's all Democrat. And so there's
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Well, the bill that's at Congress right now has been signed on is all Democrat initiative.
Oh,
And so it doesn't have the bipartisan character that enables it to get through. And I think that's the problem with the plastic legislation.
Which is
Federal-
funny because this is not a partisan issue. This affects every single one of us. It's just
Well,
that there's so much money in big oil and they
That is,
don't
of
want to
course,
stop
that
plastic.
is, of course, the
pollution.
truth, but that's not necessarily what gets a bill passed.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah,
think
and
probably
that's,
what you're talking about is EPR, the extended producer responsibility, or a similar bill like that. I don't know which ones are federal. Break free from plastic, that might be one. Yeah, that's the one. Okay.
which, excuse me, that, first of all, I hope that dominoes fall on the legalities of the health ramifications of all this and the impact on people. And I do have a person who's going to take that on and look at those and write about those articles, in articles for the blog, Alderico. It's the McChesney sisters, one is a lawyer and they're very much into this stuff. But I do think that looking at policy is another issue that, again, be nice to have somebody who could say this policy here and this policy there. Now, Surfrider is doing a lot of this stuff, but it's mainly West Coast. They have chapters around the world, but I know we can't be political as Rotarians, but we can tell people what those bills are.
Mhm.
And we can tell people, look what's happening and this is why. And I think that also needs to be a message that gets out in the newsletter, on the blog, in social media, and in our presentations, that we need to support these bills, these policy changes, because that affects how people vote, hopefully. And young people, this is why it's so important to get young people registered to vote. And sorry, I'm a person who takes a lot of notes because there's a lot of filling my head. So I'm always pausing to write things down.
Perfect.
But young people, getting them to vote because it's their future, that's part of the education, which is why we need to gather whatever we can. And somehow we need to get into the schools and youth organizations. How do we do that? You know, you can all unmute and we could just talk. So go ahead.
We have a great group near us called Change is Simple. And you know, it's not just plastics, it's all about the climate as well, but they have a great education program. They actually have a van that they bring to the schools that has all of these different curriculum. And I think they target like 5th and 6th graders, maybe. But I actually, this past week, I was invited to go to the Early Act meeting at the elementary school. And so there are, and we were talking about water conservation. And these kids are totally engaged. And we have a huge Interact Club as well. So like, you know, these kids, again, they're all engaged in a lot of different issues, but they're also very environmentally minded. So I do think that the young people, I think that, especially on the coast, Tammy, I mean, who knows what's going on in the middle of the country, right? I do think that I do think that they're being exposed to the rights and wrongs at an earlier age. And it's their parents who are just all about convenience.
I agree. That's something that we gotta get to the kids. And maybe that's something for me to ponder, is just, we're pondering how to reach adults who are already cemented in their ways. And as you said, parents are all about convenience, and it's understandable, but how do we reach the broader kid population? There's two things there that come to mind, is that we've got to get with coaches and AYSO, youth soccer, baseball, whatever, and talk to them about, right from the beginning when they meet with parents, to talk about plastics and the water bottles, because that will start educating parents on that. They're the ones who go out and buy the stuff for the team water. And when you teach them about the chemicals in it, then they start to think, I would hope they start to think, well, wait, what else has chemicals in it? But youth organizations, yeah, this is another huge area. And then teacher organizations.
Yeah,
Maybe we
Tammy, for example, my club created some video you can see in our YouTube channel, Rotary Eco Club Milano, to educate kids to the plastic, to use plastic in the right way. For the single-use plastic, we give some information. The first 5 videos was about just informative video, and now we have an agreement with some schools to create a new video like a cartoon, especially for primary school kids, to educate them to use in the right way, and don't, for example, for this against single-use plastics, about which kind of risk there are about the plastic pollution, and so they are informative video, and now we are involving them also to co-create together with us this kind of video. And after we will spread in other district and club for free. We have already an agreement with the Russian clubs that they are interested to translate in their language this kind of video, and to share in the most in many class and schools in their country. I posted also one example of a project that will be presented in Singapore in the chat. It's a project in India, an example of global grant made in India. And also I posted the free access to a ESRAG community. It's a community online, very interesting place where to discuss, where to get space and talk with a lot of like-minded people, because I suggest you to attend and to create a connection with the people that is part of this community. It's a community online, so you can access when you want. And last, I put also the email of ESRAG Plastics, so Tammy can connect it. We have also another, it's not a project, but it's something that ESRAG do for his member. We can create for free a virtual business card with QR code. So if you are interested and you are ESRAG member, you can have this kind of QR code that you can use in your mobile phone instead of the paper business card. So we have already more than 300 ESRAG members that is using this kind of business card instead of the paper. So it's a little things, but it's one step against the use of the paper that can be saved.
Okay, well, I think my homework assignment is that we're back to education. But I think when you're in education, we know is just a seed. But if the education is targeted specifically, for example, to teachers and to parents like PTAs and to youth organizations, targeting them with specific information about the research, for example, on plastic bottles is just a good way to get out there and start planting bigger seeds to make parents give second thought to this. as well as coming at it from teaching, you know, programs and things in the schools and books. And so there's a lot of work to be done here, and we're coming to the top of the hour, but I will be consolidating these thoughts and seeing again, how do we fill in some people that we build the machinery here, and yeah, there's a lot to do, but we'll keep at it, and we'll reconvene in a month. But also, if anybody, let me put this here. I'm going to put in the chat. Actually, I'm just going to give you my direct email, because I find that sometimes the one that goes through the website is a little slow maybe in coming to me. I don't know why.
And Tammy,
But
do you have all of our email addresses where you can like write up your notes, send it to us, and we can all sort of get to know
could you
each other?
drop those? Could you drop those in the chat? That would be great. And I will save this. And then Isaac, if you have a moment to can you stay on after the call so we can talk a little bit more about your project?
Yeah, sure, Tammy. Sure, I'm here.
Okay, cool. So there's a lot of goodness out there, and I hope that we can all, you know, keep doing what we're doing and maybe add a little bit more to our plates if we can. Or just now that you know that the specific things we're looking for, as you talk to people, please send them my way. I just love that now I have someone looking at legal, at innovations and social media. But this education thing I don't think it's a huge job, but it is something for somebody to start gathering all this information and having it in one library, shall we call it. And pet food. I'm looking right at you, Cindy. Yeah, don't leave before putting your stuff in the chat, and we'll reconvene next month, and I'll try to see if we can have some follow-up on all these different topics.
Thank you so much. Excellent meeting.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
It's been a
All
pleasure.
right.
Thank
We
you,
try to
Rebecca.